Do you see how freaky Bill Skarsgard is? He's so terrifying in horror films that to make him seem like the good guy, they literally had to bring in Hannibal Lecter.
Hello, Eddie. You're in my car.
It isn't that I'm hugely against the idea of remaking what can generously be described as Argentina's answer to Saw. It's just that I feel Anthony Hopkins might be a little overqualified for the position. Also, I know that he's a real human being outside of his roles, but I don't like the idea that Bill Skarsgard has a kid in this. It just seems wrong somehow. Locked is an American remake of a 2019 Argentinian film where Eddie, played by Bill Skarsgard, is a low-life thief who isn't there for his kid, and he breaks into a nice car one day and gets trapped in there by the owner, who is an old guy that's decided to turn vigilante and just leave this car sitting out there so that someone will break in, then he can trap them in there. He's got electrified seats and he just talks to them for hours and on end, like seriously, for a long time, and just watches him for days like it's messed up. And if this sounds familiar, an old white man with cancer turned sick vigilante who locks bad people into traps of his own creation for his own amusement and tries to convince them to change, that's because it is brutally Saw. However, if you want to judge this on the merits of just being a film rather than being a remake of a clearly ripped off idea from a franchise that's already got about 8 films too many, I can say that this film does not mess around, okay? It's only 95 minutes long, and within, I think by 15 minutes in, Bill Skarsgård, we've already been introduced to him. He's gotten trapped in this car. He has accidentally shot himself, got his arm cut, been electrified, and introduced to the psychotic owner of the car. Like, it, bang, bang, bang. Correct choice in terms of runtime, for sure. If it had been any longer, I don't think it would have worked that well. They play off each other well, and that's 90% of what this needed to do, because you already knew that you had 2 good actors here, and their roles were simple enough that there wasn't anything that wrong going to go. You know, you can't go that wrong with the writing. A few things here. Anthony Hopkins' character is a psycho whose morality and reasoning are more twisted than Thanos. He's extra fucked up, and he kind of just gets more terrifying as it goes on. You know, he seems to lose it a little bit as this continues, to the point where in the finale you're really expecting him to just unhinge his jaws like a snake and eat the camera whole. It's a whole thing. They do a good job of building Eddie's character into something sympathetic after showing him off to be a bit of a scumbag at the start. That has to be handled well. It was. And I feel like, despite the fact that a lot of this film is just, at the end of the day, like a lot of the runtime is spent on just Anthony Hopkins rambling, it's good, and it moved fairly quickly for me in a situation where I might not have expected it to. And it does. It's not quite as static as you maybe think it's going to be going in. It definitely is for the first half, but then it kind of quite literally and figuratively moves in the second half, which is good. I really enjoyed, I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. It did a lot for me. It kept running. I just went into this thinking, yeah, this is going to get a little bit dull even at that short of runtime, and it's not. It's on the upper level of these kind of quick, basic, modern thrillers. I do think that Bill Skarsgård, generally, I thought of him as being one of those guys who shouldn't really be the lead in a film because he just comes off better doing these kind of weird character roles where he's only actually on screen for 15 minutes, but steals the show. This did a fairly good job of disproving that, although acting for 90 minutes directly opposite Anthony Hopkins and being shirtless a lot in the back seat of a car, it's not one of the harder leading jobs you're ever going to get, but I thought he did really well. I really enjoyed him in it. I really enjoyed that character, and I thought Anthony Hopkins, he turns into a little bit more of like your basic villain near the end, but I did think that it did quite a good job of kind of leading him towards that, because he was clearly one of these guys who was trying to be like, so I also don't believe that technology has advanced far enough that he could actually remote control that car, driving at like 90, weaving in and out of traffic, acting like he's completely in control the whole time, but whatever. It's fine. I do think that this is one of the nicer low-budget films, well, lower budget, not low budget, that I've seen recently. I did not expect to get that much out of this, and I really just was entertained the entire time. So I actually can recommend it fairly well, and I'm giving Boomer Jigsaw 3.5 stars. I mean, I know technically Jigsaw was already a boomer, but I'm obviously referring to the conservative complaints that he drags out over time about this generation being weak and all that, you know, as it goes on. Just subscribe, sweet friends.